Hi, I'm Steve, and I'm going to take you through a look at the new creation tools available in Google Earth. These creation tools allow you to make some pretty amazing presentations and resources that you or your students or your co-workers can then share with anybody who has a link via Drive or online via the Google Earth app. So let's jump in and have a look at what we can create with the new Google Earth creation tools. Okay, so let's just open our browser and go to earth.google.com/web. That will open up the Google Earth first page. We'll just wait for that to load, and then we'll jump into our first project. So once Earth opens, let's have a look around our desktop and see what some of the features are. So here we are on our Google Earth home screen. Down the left-hand side, we have popped the slide out as our menu. And if we scroll to the bottom of the menu, there is also this really helpful little link at the bottom which says tutorial, and that will click us through a bunch of steps of using Google Earth. There's also the tips and tricks box, which will open up a help box in there. You can access your settings through here, and on here is our map style. If we click on our map style, one of the little features we can have a look at down the bottom here is we can turn on 3D buildings, and we can also turn on the animated clouds. If we switch that on, it will bring up an animation of clouds for over the last 24 hours. So a nice little link to look at the weather and what's happening up in the climate. Or we can turn the clouds off. Down the bottom here is also the grid lines. If we click this on, we have our latitude and longitude lines, so we can click on and off. So that's some things we can do in our settings box. Let's pop that back in again. Looking at our settings here, there is also our Voyager. We can have some Voyager stories. There is a new project button, which is incredibly exciting. There is the map style we just looked at, and you can switch photos on and off as well. But let's jump out of there and we'll go back into our main page. So here is our search. In our search, we could click maybe search for Halloween. We could maybe spell it correctly. Now we see Halloween, there is Halloween up the top. Down the bottom, there is our Voyager stories. And so any of our Voyager stories that are about Halloween, we can jump into. If there are any quizzes about Halloween, that also appear in our search. So down the bottom is our Voyager stories. The top is our locations on Earth. Let's pop that back in again. Here is our Voyager story wheel. You can click on this and it takes us into some pretty cool content which has been created by a whole bunch of Google Earth partners. They are organized by different topics through here. Here is one of those quizzes I was talking about. Just looking at War in the Pacific, we jump into here. It will take us into a Voyager story looking at the war in the Pacific. Across the top are a bunch of different styles and themes of our Voyager stories. There is a whole street view through here, which has just moved into Voyager. And the education series is through here. In the education, we have a whole lot of things that are applicable to educators. We can jump into those Voyager stories and click our way through. Down the bottom, next one, down is our I'm Feeling Lucky dice. So we click that and it will take you to somewhere random in the world. Down the bottom is our ruler. So we can measure distances and areas simply by clicking, dragging and clicking, and it will tell us our distance up here. We can drop that down and get a whole bunch of different types of measurements, including smoots. And if you don't know what a smoot is, have a look online. A great story about how the smoot was created. So let's close that little box there. Now what we're going to have a look at today is this here, which is the project button. The projects button allows us to create some really awesome content. It also allows our students to create some awesome content as well. Down the bottom is add a place mark and draw a line or a shape, so we can draw polygons as well and switch them on and off. So let's get started and jump into a project. We'll click into our project. When we open this, it brings up an introduction video we can watch over the side, which will take us through how to create these. There are 3 really good videos in here that will step us through how to create these, but I'll step us through that today. So let's create a new project. I'm going to create a project. I am going to call my project New Zealand. So that is going to be my title. We also have another little video over here, which I'll just close so we can have a look. So that is our title. Now you'll see it's saving to Drive. These save as a Drive file. They are also shareable as a Drive file up there. So we can share this with anybody with either viewing or editing rights. Present means we'll have a look at the project we've created, or we can jump in and create a new feature. When we drop this down, it will give us an option of what we want to add. I'm going to add a full screen slide as our opening story. This brings up another video help over here, which will tell you about how to add and style different things. So my slide is going to be called Intro. And here we type what we want to see across the center of our main slide. Let's do a capital. So that will be our title. We can then add a background. So if I click on this, it will open my search box here. Now I'm going to select a file. So what we can do is we can upload photos. So if I choose this, it will upload a photo I've saved to my computer and then add it as the background to this first slide. So it's adding down the bottom here. There is my background. We can set a whole of views. Now, if I have a look at this now, if I want to see what my slide looks like, I can simply click Preview Presentation. And this is going to be the first slide that people see when they come to this story. Go back to my editor there. So that's my first slide I've put on there. I can change the way my text looks and my colors and bits and pieces, but I'll let you have a play with that around if you want to. So let's go back to my outline. So there's my intro slide there. I'm going to add a new feature. Go search to add a place. So if I want to search for Auckland City, just type that into our search bar, and it's going to jump us into Auckland City there. So this gives me a nice overview of Auckland City. I'll move it around a little. If I want to zoom out, I can use my zoom down here. So that's where Auckland is. And let's just go add that to project. Title is Auckland City. Project that I'm using at the moment is in New Zealand. If I click on Edit Place, it will then allow me to edit this over here. So the top box comes directly from the information box that popped up when I searched for Auckland City. If I click on Replace, I can then jump into our editor here. So the title is Auckland City, the largest city in New Zealand. We then choose what our info needs to look like, a small info box or a large info box. I'm just going to go for a small info box here. We can change the place mark type. There are some different colors. You open our little box to choose more icons or upload a custom icon of our own. I'm going to keep this nice and simple. I'm going to change the color to yellow. There it is. So there's a yellow icon there. If I want to change that to blue, which I quite like, let's go for blue. So there we are. There's our blue icon there. Now this allows us to set the view, and we'll have a little play with this in a bit. But if I decide that I want the tilt to be on 45 degrees, do that. As I click out of that box, it will then change the way the view is when we come back to look at it later on. Now if I want to have a photo in the box, let's click on the photo here. It takes us back to our search. If we go to image search, we can search online for any image that is labeled for reuse. So let's click on this one here. That looks like quite a good one. We'll select, and that will then add itself to this here. Now we can add as many photos as we want, and have a rotating gallery in there. So let's add a second one so we can see what a gallery looks like. Let's pick another one. That looks like quite a good one as well. Select that. Wait for that to upload. So that then means we have two images sitting in there. The title is Auckland City, and we can then have a play with the different things. And down the bottom also is a click to watch tutorial if you want to have a look at how you use these things. So if I do that, if I go now back to my tutorial, you'll see there is a pin down there. If I click on present, here is our first page. Down the bottom now is a table of contents. We'll click through to a second. Now see that's now sitting at that 45-degree tilt I set it as. Here is our box. Here is the info I popped in, and we can click through those images. So you can put lots of images in there if you want people to scroll through images looking at a certain place. If we click back, it will take us back into our presentation. So I want to add a new feature. Let's add a new feature. Let's search. I want to add Christchurch. We'll have a look at Christchurch Central City would be good. Let's click on that. Fly us down to Christchurch. Now again, we can have a bit of a play with the view. We can simply add to project if we want, or if we decide we don't want to add this information to our project, what we can do is grab our zoom. We'll zoom out of it. That's a much nicer one. I'm going to get rid of that. That's the view I want. So I'll go down to here and click on Add Place Mark. So I'm going to select the location, click right in the center. I'm going to call that Christchurch. I should probably spell it correctly. I manage my New Zealand project and I've saved it. Now I've got Christchurch sitting down there as an added place to my project. If I go, I'll hover onto it and click on the pencil. It will allow me to edit that place. So let's have a look at adding some images or video. So if I go to YouTube, I can then click on Christchurch. Let's go Christchurch Tour because that might be a bit more specific. Christchurch City Tour 2019. If I click on that and I go select, it will then add that video to the knowledge box. Title is Christchurch, video tour. My spelling not great today. Now if I decide I want that to be a large info box, it's got our blue pin there. We can play with our views and tilts down there if we want. It's removed my 45-degree tilt. So within, if we have a look at this, so we've got a video. So a video box looks like that. And then when I click on that, it will play the YouTube video within that box. So I now have three things: my intro, Auckland City, and Christchurch. If I decide I want to have a look at a new feature, let's go new feature. Let's go add a place mark. So that will allow me to just click a place mark wherever I want to click it. If I want to go back to a search, let's go new feature. Let's go search. Let's go Cathedral Cove. So if we look at Cathedral Cove, there, beautiful beach. Let's fly to Cathedral Cove. And there we are over there. So this is Cathedral Cove, a beautiful beach. Te whanganui. I'm going to then add that to my project. Save that. So here's down here, I go across to my pencil. I want to edit that feature. So here's our information box up here. We can leave that information if we want to keep the information provided by the Google search. I've got my pin all styled as I want. But if I want to replace this with something else, let's click on replace. Now we have the picture at the top here. So if I go back to our pictures and I type Cathedral Cove, that's how we can find images of Cathedral Cove as we looked at before. We can also upload a URL. You can upload your own photos. You can upload from Google Drive. But another pretty cool thing we can do is we can add some Street View imagery into this box here. Now the way we can do that is by clicking on the three dots, and we can switch to HTML. Now what we can then do is put anything in that box that we have HTML code for into this central part here in between the two HTML tags. So let's quickly jump out of here and jump into Google Maps. Now Google Maps, if I click into Cathedral Cove, so here is Cathedral Cove again, Te Whanganui Ahei. We can scroll down and find photos. There are some 360s in there as well. Let's click on the 360s. Now if I decide that I want to grab a 360 image of, let's have a look at inside the cathedral itself. So this is inside the rock that you walk through to get between the two parts of the beaches. If I go up to the top here and click on the three dots, I can click on share or embed. If I want to embed it, here is our embed code. If I decide I want that to be large, there we go. I'm going to copy that HTML. I'm going to go back to Earth, and inside here, I'm going to replace that with that copied HTML. You can play with the width and the height in here. You can put a border on it if you want. So what you've done is you've grabbed the HTML code from Google Maps in there, and you can then pop it into that box. So that's within our HTML code in that box. If I then go preview, so here is Cathedral Cove, and inside that large info box is our 360 image that we can now have a look at. So that's a fully working 360 image inside that box, which I think is a pretty cool thing to be able to do. So we can pop back into our editor, jump back into here. So there are our four places: Auckland City, Christchurch, and Te Whanganui Ahei, or Cathedral Cove. Now if we decided we needed to look at an area, let's jump into a new feature. Let's search. Let's choose another place in New Zealand. Queenstown. So I'll fly down to Queenstown. Now if I zoom out, so if I want to talk about an area, we can see this nice flat area through here. If I were to show that as a place, let's add Queenstown to our project. Let's click on the pencil. Okay, so here is Queenstown. We'll zoom out a little. We can also, within our Queenstown, is all set how we want to see it. I'm going to capture that view there. So that will save that as the view that I want to see. If I go back to our presentation, if I go new feature, and then I go line or shape, what it will do then is allow me to draw a shape that sits on our Queenstown area. So I'm deciding that I want to do this, and this is going to be done very quickly. You might want to do this with a bit more precision if you are using an area like this. Let's jump around here. This is the area I want to talk about. Riveting stuff to watch, I know. And I'm going to close the shape up there. So now we have an image. So this might be flatland. I'm going to add it to my project. I'm going to save. And that now pops up this shape here. So when we have a look at our project, let's go to look at our project. We'll go present. Here's our table of contents down here. We can click through. Christchurch. Here's our Cathedral Cove. Whanganui-a-Hei. 5. We'll head into Queenstown. Now in our Queenstown, we can also see that there is our big area we have put in there. So that shows us the area we're talking about. We jump forward to number 6. That is indeed this area through here. So if we jump back into our place, here is our flat land. If we go to edit, we can then choose if we want to put some fill in there. So we might want to make that blue as well. Our outline is yellow, blue and yellow, maybe, perhaps red and blue, just to have looking really flash there. Let's click on preview presentation, and it will now take us into that area, and we can see that we have our red outline with our blue. So that is adding an area, or you can add lines in exactly the same way. So in our presentation, we now have a bunch of places in New Zealand. We have Auckland City, which has a photo added to the info box. We have Christchurch, which has a YouTube clip added to the info box. We have Te Whanganui-a-Hei, or Cathedral Cove, which has a 360 image added to the info box. And we also have Queenstown, which has an area highlighted and added to the map. So if you want to use this to show areas, which you can switch on and off by clicking on here. So adding layers and adding lines into our presentation is a way that we can show where things are. So a simple way to bring a GIS into your classroom if you want. So once we have this all created, we can then click up here to our share project. So if I go continue, it will open up a share box just like you are familiar with if you use any of the other G Suite or Google apps. We click on advanced. I can add people to it. They can be public or anyone with a link if I want to do that. Then I can choose that people can edit. I can give people this link. They can then work on the project, so multiple people can work on this project together. Perhaps give each person a pin to research, to add some information to. Once the work is complete, we can then change this to view. Then anyone with a link can view your presentation. Click on save, and we'll save that. Now you'll also see this, there is a drive link up here. So this saves into my drive. So it tells me it's auto-saving. So as you go through, it auto-saves in your drive. And when you go into your drive, you can find this as a presentation that you can simply jump back into and work. So the new creation tools allow you to add photos, add videos, add places, add 360s. And when we're looking at this one here, we had a look at this idea that it was an HTML box. So anything that you can HTML embed, you can try putting in here. So you can allow the students to do a bit of HTML coding very, very simply into here. And there are lots of people who have done some pretty cool things with this info box. So that's a quick look through the new creation tools on Google Earth to allow yourself or your students or your co-workers to create some pretty cool features that can jump through different places around the world. Each pin could be a different person working on, or each pin is a place where something happened. A great way to tell stories, to look at historical activities across the globe, or to use to introduce yourself and where you came from. So that's a look at the new creation tools within Google Earth. Hopefully that will help you have a play and create some pretty cool stuff. So hopefully this has been a bit of a help. Let me know if you need any more help in it, and I'll upload some more videos.